I'm Rashana Fernandez Bello, and welcome back to the Cambia News. Opposition party expresses pessimism about Greater Sunrise infrastructure. The PLP bench president said that the 12 million budget that the government allocated is to reinforce the partners that the government has harvested to bring oil to Timor-Leste. Maria Angelino said, according to information from the government, there is a basic study carried out by the Australian government and presented to the government of Timor-Leste. That is why today in plenary the deputies asked the government to present the studies that are available so the deputies can follow along. According to information from the government during the 2025 General State Budget debate, the government stated that studies conducted in the past, especially those done by Allen Excel Consulting and presented to the government in 2016, are not connected to the current plans. The government also claimed that they did not use those studies to start investing in a Greater Sunrise project. There is another new study that we have been following on social media. Perhaps Mr. Steve Braggs met with the Prime Minister. However, we do not know if the content of the study is truly viable, as the government itself has changed its plans regarding the Beasu LNG plant to Natarbora and the Betano refinery to all be in Natarbora. According to the government's explanation, this decision was made to save money and reduce costs, but this rationale was not presented in the base study. So in plenary, I asked whether this is merely a perception or based on concrete studies, but the government did not respond. We pointed out that, according to the studies conducted by Alien Excel, the LNG plant is supposed to be in Beasu and the refinery in Betano, and that the expected return from this plant is almost $80 billion.
Ellen Excel halone, planta Beasu, LNG plant ni iha Beasu no refineria ni iha Betano, no retorno.
Timor-Leste is facing critical funding decisions as government officials outlined a proposed $12 million investment to support the Greater Sunrise oil project while expressing concerns that this amount may be insufficient to develop the southern coastal sector and meet ongoing social and economic needs.
Na explicação de kata 12 milhões né atu reforça
Maria Angelina said, according to the government's explanation, the 12 million is intended to reinforce our policy to assure partners that we are willing to bring Greater Sunrise oil to Timor-Leste. The protections included in the budget, which total millions, involve continuing the establishment of petrochemical base on the south coast and reinforcing highways and ports at any port. This is what the government explained. However, we believe that if this is a significant project, 12 million will not be enough. If we are committed to developing the southern coastal sector to enable the Greater Sunrise gas pipeline to Timor-Leste, we need to consider what modality to use. Should it be through a loan? Or should we withdraw all our money from the oil fund to invest? If we use all our funds, it will not be enough, as we currently only have 18.2 million. If we spend it all to invest in the South Coast for the Greater Sunrise project, we will have to sacrifice all our other programs, including social programs and those in the productive sector. Therefore, we are uncertain about which modality we should use to invest in Greater Sunrise for Timor-Leste. I believe that the creators who are going to provide us with funding want a guarantee that the money we receive will indeed be returned. The issue of guarantees is important, as it reflects how the country's leaders communicate with each other. Currently, the CNRT is in power, but there is no assurance of dialogue and collaboration, which may discourage potential investors from providing funding. This is what we in the opposition have consistently urged the government to do: maintain an open dialogue so that the key leaders can communicate effectively with one another. Maria Angelina expressed concerns over the government's reluctance to utilize existing studies that suggest significant financial returns from oil sales in Greater Sunrise, emphasizing that ongoing expenditures for new studies may be compromising the people's investment in the oil fund. She called for greater transparency and accountability, urging the government to provide detailed information to ensure that Timorese citizens are well informed about implications of these investments.
Fan itania mina e retorno ne be ita hetang husi be fan mina nema tuire estudos ne be ami hetang ne elen excel nema 80 bilhões ita pois hotang taxa sir ne be ma deriva husi itania seda
Maria Angelino said, according to the government explanation, the funds we receive from the oil fund come from our investments in Greater Sunrise Oil for Timor-Leste through loans. This investment helps create many jobs. We can also sell our oil, and the returns we expect from oil sales, as revealed in Alien Excel study, amount to approximately 80 billion. This figure is derived from our oil sales, which represent about 10% of the investment we make. However, the government is hesitant to utilize the study, claiming that the studies and findings are not linked. As a result, they continue to seek additional studies. This raises the questions: if a study incurs costs, are we sacrificing the people's money in the oil fund to conduct new studies? We have already paid for consultancies and presented reports, but those reports are not being used, and we continue to spend money on new studies that lack guarantees of success. If Greater Sunrise is developed in Timor-Leste, it could provide significant advantages for our people by supporting us through loan funding. The research indicates that selling our oil could yield substantial returns, prompting us to request loans based on the promise of future profit. Yet, despite the existing studies, we do not consider any of them adequate as a basis for securing funding from donors or investors. This situation is why the opposition continues to question the government. As Timorese representatives, we feel a responsibility to seek detailed information, especially since it is our duty to provide clarity to our constituents. We must obtain and convey comprehensive information so that we can effectively explain the situation to our people.
Plano tu irmã, sei lá, tina lima nelara sira ko ke estudos na fating estudos na fating. E estudos ne hasai duni husi povo ni osang ne berai hela e fundo minerai ne ba.
Thus, in the same place, the government, CNRT, Deputy Virginia Annabella said, to get revenues for the state, not only look at the government, but all institutions have a duty to bring money to the state to sustain the life of the state so the state machine can run with all right.
Receitas da
Virginia Annabella said, I think revenues ought to find money for the state. We cannot focus on one area only. Government or institutions have a duty to bring money to the state to sustain the life of the state. The problem is that until now, we will remain independent of oil funds, but it doesn't mean that the burden is on all oil companies to carry or force oil to seek money. All the mechanisms are there for us to bring money to the state institution that the government created, such as electricity that has gone to public companies, other IP. This also has the competence. They must find their own revenue for themselves and also to the state. When it comes to oil, I think the interior government in the fifth or sixth government, it has a lot of plans and studies to present in the national parliament with its advantages and disadvantages about how much we will get if we explore the Greater Sunrise. But because we have faced a political crisis after the government change, the eighth government failed to continue this plan for reason each government comes with its policy. So this issue is abandoned. because during 2017, 2018, 2019, people does not pay more attention to members of the government in the competent area. So ninth government came with a policy that willingly or unwillingly Great the Sunrise Pipeline we must bring to Timor.
Bota tudo evoluir, bota tudo mudar. Então o governo idane, o nono governo, mai niho politika ida kata hakara ko lakui Greater Sunrise kador kita tem que dar lagi.
Bayundan oil still brings revenue to the state, although the revenue itself began to decline, but Bayundan oil will still give 50 to 70 million to the country. Virginia Anabello added.
Bebê minha na fata ia entre 50 a 60 milhões né nesse fone fata. Isso significa será.
Right now, in the past year or two, everyone said to finish, but until now, it is still there. Although its revenue given to us is starting to decline, but it is still between 50 or 60 million. Will continue to be giving, meaning that a field we consider to have no economic value, but it still brings some revenue to our state. This government is thinking of ways to most unique is to bring oil to Timor, so we can create a lot of jobs for our young people, can give us opportunity for our entrepreneurs, so they can compete through it. For example, people need sugar, they can import sugar. People need fruit, they can import fruit. Need hotel entrepreneurs can prepare. Their company can recruit for workers. This is one of our values.
Valorida multiplicador. Kata seita foba ida niamos beda dai tu tanti fada. Também nem maka politika governo nuno governo se esforço toma tem que dar a cada respeito.
Reporting by Rakambia Team. That's all for today. A big thank you from Rakambia Team, and we look forward to seeing you in the next edition.